thank you everybody for staying. We have this challenge of keeping you awake for, I think, until we announce the winners. Are we the last one today, or there is anybody else? Wow, that's a challenge. So thank you for staying. We actually cannot see you from here, so we are assuming that we have a full audience. If you want, you can leave. You are never going to notice that. First of all, let me thank Dan Ciporin. Although he's smiling and fresh, he's just arriving this morning with Continental Flight 84, and Yaron and I were exchanging SMSs, fronting emails, and so on throughout the last 24 hours, creating a backup plan for what if. So what if has not happened? Thank you, Dan, for coming here. What we're thinking of is creating some sort of an interactive session here where we are going to do some of the talk. Hopefully, you are going to come up with provocative, annoying, unbelievable questions that are going to keep us awake. Definitely Dan, who needs those questions. And so please feel free to interact with us. We are going to throw some ideas, some concepts that we are toying around because Dan and I are now on the same side of the fence. Both of us former entrepreneurs, both of us crossed that line, have become investors, and are looking for exciting opportunities to get involved in. So we are going to start with really 2 or 3 slides just to get you awake, up and running, and then let's have this discussion between us. As I said, we are investing a lot. This is how the global investment climate looks these days. And just to give you our feedback as investors, we have looked at our investments over the last, I think, a little bit more than 4 years, and we try to put them into buckets. And what we call digital media, which includes internet and media companies, comprises of about 43% of our portfolio. That sums up to about $198 million over the last 4 years, and about twice that number in terms of allocation for those companies when we invested. And by the way, we keep on investing. I think at our last investment in Canaan, which just took place a few weeks ago, was the investment that Dan made in yet another exciting internet company, which we are not going to talk about today. What we are going to talk to is just to give you some snapshots of companies that we have invested in. And that's, again, the intention here is to generate some discussion. After talking about those companies, we are going to ask Dan some questions about his experience with shopping.com, because that's interesting from 2 perspectives. One of them is just running an internet company and what does it mean, and the potential of creating new companies. The other one is the Israeli perspective, which is running an Israeli company out of the United States. And by the way, Dan has not said any word yet, but how many words do you know in Hebrew?
Efo?
Okay, so just to make sure, right, just to make sure people understand, Dan Ciporin is a nice Israeli name. We get calls to our Israeli office here, Shalom, אפשר לדבר עם Dan Ciporin, אני חבר שלו מהצבא. Dan has never lived in Israel, never worked in Israel, except for his back and forth with shopping. But I think we could call him a good, excellent, actually, Israeli supporter, right?
So, yeah, so I would ask if anybody is going to leave a message on my mobile that you do it in English. I can't tell you how many Hebrew messages I have on my mobile that I have no idea what they say. So.
I can assure that they are friendly. All right, Dan, so yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit, and this is a company that you're involved with personally. Tell us a few words about Lending Club.
Sure. Lending Club is an investment we did in, I guess it's been about 1.5 years now. This is a disintermediation play, which I'll talk about a little bit further in the discussion. I think this kind of strategy is exactly the kind of thing that not just Israeli entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in general should be focusing on, meaning disintermediation in general. As far as this company specifically is concerned, Lending Club, it's a disintermediation play around lending and borrowing. So what Lending Club does, if you think about a traditional bank, what a bank does, let's start with that. What a bank does is take in your money at 2–3% and then lend it out. This is in the United States. Maybe Israel's a little bit different, but in the United States, take in your money 2–3%, lend it out at 20%. Now that's a pretty big spread. And the banks certainly have a lot of overhead, whether it's retail branches or just lots of bankers that they're paying. And that's one of the reasons that when the financial services industry is good, it is very good. In fact, Citigroup, which is now almost bankrupt, in the good days was the single most profitable company in the world. So Lending Club seeks to basically take this out of the equation by making both borrowers and lenders much happier. Lenders, because instead of getting 2-3%, they're now going to get, on average, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12%. Borrowers, because instead of getting 20% or paying 20% interest, they're now going to pay somewhere on the order of 13-14% on average. So the spread is much tighter, and therefore everybody wins. So that's the basic summary of Lending Club.
Great, and we can take questions later, but let's go to another one, Associated Content. Could you tell us a little bit about them?
Associated Content, an interesting company founded by Tim Armstrong, who used to be the president of sales at Google, and then became most recently, as many of you probably know, CEO and chairman of AOL. What Associated Content does is essentially enable people to write about things and then pay them, but what they're writing about are things that other people want to know about. So, and specifically sponsors want other people to know about. So an example, pharmaceutical company that has an arthritis drug will ask or want to get that message in front of as many people as possible that are looking for arthritis-related content. So what Associated Content does is send out what they call a call to content, have a lot of people write articles about arthritis, in this example. That gets indexed in Google and the search engines in general. And then when people are looking for things about arthritis, up comes articles, content that has been commissioned by Associated Content. And as sponsors, the pharmaceutical companies have their name in front of them. So that's Associated Content in a nutshell.
And by the way, we do not have enough Israeli writers, and I saw the previous sessions over here talking about bloggers, international bloggers. You are more than welcome. Those who write interesting blogs get paid. Some of them get paid very nicely. The next one, just before Dan talks about Pier 39, we have established an Israeli office here about almost 4 years ago, and the idea was to go after the best technologies, the best companies, with the true belief that you can generate excellent Israeli companies and fund them and create big companies out of them when they grow. And so we believe that this is not all about semiconductors and communications and other IT exciting companies, but definitely about internet. Here's an example for one of them.
Pier 39 actually started out as a solely Israeli company, so the founder is Israeli. He moved to New York, and what Pier 39, and there is still a significant R&D center in Israel for Pier 39, just to be clear, the business headquarters now being in New York. Pier 39 does what's called semantic targeting, meaning it takes the meaning of content and then understands what that meaning is, and by doing that enables much higher quality content to be advertised against. An example would be if you have a lot of remnant advertising and Newsweek, which is a customer of Pier 39, for example, has a lot of news, all of a sudden Pier 39 can distinguish that it's not just news, but it's travel, it's personal technology, it's finance, and advertisers, or sorry, the Newsweek can sell much higher CPMs against that very specific kind of category.
Thank you. I think the last one for now, and we have other examples, is a company named LiveView. Is LiveView still on here? Yes, so we are being taped live today by LiveView, and LiveView bonds cellular channels and transmits them all the way down, both to broadcasters like NBC, Arutz Echad, Arutz 2, Arutz 10, well, Arutz 10 maybe not for long, as we heard this morning, but also to internet sites. Just want to give you one quick example. Let's see if the magic works here.